Yes, the big question is where can I travel unvaccinated this summer? David Hartman, owner of Fantastic Endeavors Travel Agency, coming you here with the Enjoy the Journey luxury travel. So, a unvaccinated travel update, long overdue, but I was waiting for big news to break. And the breaking news just this week, actually happening today, is Jamaica is wide open. What does that mean? No mask or testing requirements, man. That's it. It's open, ready to go. You can travel to Jamaica. As always, like this show wherever you're watching it. Share it. It really does help me out. And leave a comment or question in the chat no matter when you're watching it. If you're live on the air like we are right now, I'll answer it here on the air. If not, I'll catch you back in the comments. And always PM me if you ever have any specific private questions about travel worldwide. What's our show all about? It's about educational, inspirational travel, inspiring you to go to your next destination, which you can this summer because the worldwide travel is opening up. So the big news beyond Jamaica, what is happening in the world of travel? First off, there's a bit of a COVID hangover. It's not quite over yet. You read the news, a little spike in China. Of course, they're conservative. They're shutting down a little bit. And little things here and there. And we heard that CDC extended the mask mandate. Wah, wah. Only to May 3rd, which is good news. Last time they did a month, just 2 more weeks. And that's on all public transportation, which beyond buses, what does that include? Airplanes. So I got some travel next week domestically, and I'll be wearing a mask on the plane. Not happy about it. So whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, this rule applies to you. But this show is mostly about unvaccinated travel because my first show I did this in August and a follow-up in November were so popular. I now have come to update all of you asking the question out there, where can I travel unvaccinated? First off, ignore the CDC do not travel list. That could be the biggest hunk of garbage ever created. I mean, they're so strict. They're knocking on destinations that have been wide open from the beginning, like Mexico, which I'll talk about briefly in a minute. Ignore what's on there. They don't know what they're doing. You can't ignore their mask mandate because that's federal government enforced, and you may get in trouble on a plane. You've heard all the stories and seen all the videos. Don't want to go there. So just ignore the list when you're planning your travel upcoming this late spring and summer. What other big news is out there? Domestic for some, to me, is more like an international trip, but don't need a passport. It's Hawaii has ended all restrictions March 25th. Aloha. Thank God. This is one of our strictest states in the country for shutting down. They were totally shut down. The protocols to get in were so strict, and they're out of nowhere, most because they're tourism focused. Boom. They are wide open, unvaccinated travel, no testing, no safe travel program. Just get on a plane and fly there. International followers of my show, keep in mind the U.S. regulations for international air travelers still apply, but there are some exceptions there. So leave me a comment or chat me one-on-one, and I'll talk to you about those. But if you want to go somewhere this summer, if you're watching this in North America, boom, you can head to Hawaii. Check out my shows on my Fantastic Endeavors YouTube channel. Subscribe to that channel because I got some great shows in Hawaii in the archive. Another one I know, because my friend Bailey Barnes just did a project up there on the Iditarod, and she is unvaccinated. The Last Frontier, Alaska wants you back. Their cruise travel is back. I've multiple clients going on Alaska cruises this summer and doing land tours. Now, cruises I'll talk about at the end. I'll do a quick cruise update at the end. Alaska, travel unvaccinated, no problem. Again, international travels. Keep in mind that domestic rule, international travel rule still applies. Domestic, no problem. You can travel any of the U.S. destinations, but these are the far destinations. And of course, Florida, we are the indeed wild, wild west. We've been wide open since October 2020. Give us your tired, your poor, your Disney tourists, whatever you want. We'll bring them. Localities can't even pass a regulation here against COVID or travel or masks. It's so strict against any restrictions. Come on down to Florida. I live in the Florida Keys. We're wide open. Come on down. So let's talk about international travel. Kind of start out with a big Jamaica news, man. That was huge news, a big destination for international and domestic travelers to go to. What else is happening? Now, again, I'm going to get in the comments about some countries. I'm not going to cover every country because it's a huge list and things are changing so fast. The minute I finish this video, what I talked about may be outdated. Keep that in mind as you comment. But I am talking about things I believe will be open the next few months, including summertime. And one of them is, one of them is first off the rule, the U.S. testing requirement 1 day prior to arrival for U.S. citizens and foreign travels is in effect. The requirement for vaccinated foreign travels is in effect, although there's more flexibility on that one. You got to read the fine print on that one if you're an international follower watching this show right now. Read the fine print. There are exceptions. U.S. citizens can return to the USA unvaccinated. If you can go somewhere like Jamaica, you can come back unvaccinated. That's always been the case. I must have answered this question 10 times in the chat of my previous videos on my Fantastic Endeavors YouTube channel. Please subscribe. I don't know why that was missed. You always could return to the U.S. That was never a rule since international travel opened up a few months ago. Other places, now that we know the groundwork we're working with for North America, U.S. travelers leaving, Mexico. And if you're in international travel, skip the U.S. and go to Mexico. Mexico's never closed. The border, yes, but international travel, I had clients that went down 2 years ago during the major shutdown to experience resorts wide open, just to have people there. That was almost free. I've been to Mexico recently on a cruise. Awesome. There was some restrictions when we got off the port, but overall, it was fine. Mexico always knew they needed tourism to stay alive. They are a third world country, by the way. So they have always been wide open. So, Mexico. Listen, Cancun, Los Cabos. Los Cabos now is a more affluent area that was shut down until last June. But I booked clients there from Key Largo in August of 2020, and they had a great time. So it is wide open, been wide open. Don't even worry about it. One note, I know I'm trying to be a positive show. Avoid South America. Getting better, but I had clients booked for Argentina and Chile, and Chile was so strict, they just canceled the trip and walked away with from thousands of dollars. The testing requirements, borders weren't open. Now they've canceled, they're starting to loosen things up, but it's just too little too late, and it's still difficult, and it's still unvaccinated. Right now, South America is on a different time scale than the rest of the world. Europe, and I've mentioned this before on previous shows, but it's even more so now, read the fine print. And I have resources I can send to you guys if you direct message me or comment on one of these videos wherever you're watching it. I can tell you in 5 seconds where you can go, what the regulations are. I have those tools as a travel agency owner. Europe is open in a number of places. Croatia's been open for months, and now more and more is opening to unvaccinated travel, no test. Once you're on the ground, here's my strategy. Enter a friendly country like Croatia and then travel on by rail or rent a car, easier by rail. And then the border stops are pretty much gone. Summer travel's picking up. People want tourism back. It's a much different story now. So plan your Europe travel well. European cruise is a different story. I'm going to save my cruise update for the end because it's not quite where it needs to be. Mostly because it just is still vaccinated for a lot of reasons. So let's talk about cruise travel. Most cruises require vaccination unless you're under 5. Under 12 on some cruise lines require a booster, the recommended booster. CDC is going back and forth. This is not a cruise update show. Sorry, you cruise travelers out there, but we will get one soon, probably next week. Stay tuned. The cruising's a little tough. You can fly to Europe, certain destination, but you probably can't get on the cruise ship because of their own rules, because, they've been under a lot of scrutiny. It's a confined environment. A lot of it is a lot of ports of call they go to, even though where you entered is unvaccinated, travel friendly. The port they're going to is not. That's happening here in the U.S. Unvaccinated travelers can move out of the country, come to Wild West Florida, but you can't hop on a cruise ship mostly because of where they go, despite what our governor says in Florida, says that they can't require that. They are. And the testing requirements are still in place. And it gets more complicated. I have clients flying to Alaska doing a tour there, going on a cruise vaccinated. And then in Canada, they have different rules. And then they return to the US as a testing requirement. It's just crazy. And then their cruise line is doing more testing. So cruising's a bit more complicated. I'm saying this to let you guys know. If you ask me about cruises in the chat, I will say, I told you so. It's not quite there yet. It's going to be a little while longer, mostly cruises from the US where unvaccinated will be allowed, mostly because the Caribbean will open up. So note that if your Europeans are watching, anyone out there watching, you're probably better off coming here, getting on a cruise ship, because a lot of European destinations aren't on the same page, where Caribbean and US are getting a lot closer to being 100% unvaccinated. So that's my short cruise travel update. Stay tuned for next week for a much bigger update. And as always, I'll answer your questions in the chat. Thank you all for joining today. A very short and sweet show on where can you travel, where can I travel unvaccinated this summer. Give you guys some great tips, some breaking news on Jamaica, breaking news from last month on Hawaii. More and more is opening up. Just a teaser. Most of my work for you guys is answering the chat. And give me some ideas. What country you want to hear about? I'll do a complete destination overview and tell you how to navigate that country. I always enjoy doing that. Always appreciate your ideas from the previous shows. If you ever need to reach me, it's up here above me or down below, 305-453-9208, dave@bucketwithchip.com. I'm always here to answer your questions, but I'm also own a full-service travel agency along with Skip Shear and Sue Mooney, two of my associates, to help you guys out from wherever you want to travel. But as always, I'm here to help you guys travel unvaccinated or vaccinated. And man, great news coming up about Jamaica. Stay tuned next week for a cruise travel update. We will see you then.